Okay, so guys, before we get started with today's episode, let me give you a brief overview what PathMonk is all about before we jumping into the show. PathMonk is the intelligent tool for website lead generation. With increasing online competition, more than 98% of all website visitors do not convert. So your ability to successfully show your value proposition and support visitors in their buying journey separates you from the competition. So PathMonk qualifies and converts leads on your website by figuring out where people are in the buying journey and influencing them in key decision moments with relevant micro experiences like case studies, introductional videos, and much more. So stay relevant to your visitors and increase conversions by plus 50%. PathMonk to your page in seconds, let the AI do all the work and rebuild those 50% of extra conversions. Check it out on pathmonk.com. In today's episode of the PathMonk Presents podcast, I got a very interesting guest here with me today. I'm with Nadine van der Waal, and she's heading over from the folks over at Spotr. And at Spotr, they're basically helping to inspect millions of buildings in seconds. That's very interesting to see that AI and the role that AI plays. It's an AI-powered remote inspection solution. So let's really deep dive into that and also, learn from Nadine how she's thinking about growth for the company. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Sure. So maybe give people like a brief overview of what is Spotr all about in your own words.
Sure. So Spotr is a remote inspection platform for large property portfolios in which we basically gather a lot of images from the properties in that portfolio. And then we scan those images with AI to detect, for example, materialization or condition or elements in the buildings. Basically, we dissect them into new data, which can then be used to do analyses on big scale. For example, we help insurers detect underinsurance, or we help large real estate owners with their maintenance plans.
Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. Now, what would you say sort of would be, an ideal customer? What makes a customer that fits really well? Is there a certain scale that they need to have of buildings? Like what would be, an ideal use case?
Definitely. Yeah. Scale is very important because, if you have like 5 properties in your portfolio, you can just go out and visit them, right? It's actually that insight that drove the founders to start Spotr. That, if you have large portfolios, say over 5,000 properties that you either insure or own, it's impossible to visit them on a yearly basis to make sure that you understand, are there any changes? Do these properties need maintenance, or maybe they are underinsured and the insurance premiums or policies need to be adjusted. So That's exactly what we do. So for us, an ideal client has a large portfolio that they have huge blind spots. Usually only up to 4% of a portfolio is inspected yearly. And with Spotr, you can do 100% of your entire portfolio. And we help you find that insight that you need.
Gotcha. Makes a whole lot of sense. Now, how would you describe the individuals? Like what type of people, go out and, search for something like Spotr? What type of roles do they have? Is that, like a facility manager on scale? Like how should we imagine these people?
Yeah, no, not facility managers. Usually it depends a bit per industry, but in the insurance sector, we talk a lot to innovation managers. So often insurance companies are looking to innovate their core processes, and gathering more data using AI to do better risk analyses are really a part of that. So innovation managers are definitely part of our personas, so to say, but also actually underwriters, because they're the ones who have to give out a policy, and they often are the ones who have the blind spots. So these are in terms of personas, but in terms of organization, we also at the moment work with companies that are really open to innovate. And, since this is a really new space that we are building a product in, it's really important that they're open to work with us and, also give us feedback on what they need this technology for and in which direction we could develop it further to make it even more valuable for them.
Gotcha. Makes a whole lot of sense. Now, how do they learn about Spotr? Like, how would you describe the journey of getting started?
I think so. We have a few outlets that are our main acquisition channels. So I'd say, first of all, is events. We basically just go, to all the networking events, the important ones, where we also often present. Another one is LinkedIn. We are big LinkedIn users. Well, it's B2B, especially enterprise. It's really good for targeting. So both organic and paid is really great for us. And next to that, also partnerships are very important to us. So we have, of course, lots of partners who are already working with insurance companies, and we try to work together with them to see how we can give a stronger proposition towards the insurer. So those are very important ones. Next to that, because we're in a beginning phase when it comes to insurers, there's also a lot of networking involved. So a lot of the network of the founder, but also of our investors, to really get into those large insurers.
And what would you say, what role does the website then play in their journey?
I think actually that's a very interesting question, because you can really see, I think, throughout the years, especially in the past 10 years, that the role of a website has changed a lot. Where it used to be, just a conversion machine for a marketer, it has become way more of a sort of extra point in the journey instead of just the end. And often, especially in our journey, what we see is that a lot has to happen before they go to the website. And we can see that as well in our demo request. Most of them come directly. So it's really difficult for us to understand, there's not one point that makes them want to request a demo. But I think, the role of the website is really to give that deeper information about what exactly is a proposition. How are we going to help our audience, our buyers, to solve their problem? Especially since we have a more complicated and niche product, it's really important for us to do that explanation and educate our audience. So it's mainly education, still conversion, still very important, but I think education is our main focus for the platforms and for the website, especially right now.
And what would you consider a strength of the page? Like, thinking about that journey and the role it plays in that journey. What do you think is the strength of the website versus where do you see maybe room for further, thoughts and improvement?
Yeah, I think the strength of our website is definitely making our product visual. Since we're talking about data, often it's a little bit, difficult to visualize. What does it mean to get insights? What does it mean to get data? So we try to visualize as much as possible from the way we work, how our process works, from to how our actual platform works. We also made a video to visualize the problem and the process. So I think that those are really strong elements in our website. But of course, there's a lot of room for improvement. And I think that comes down to understanding our audience better, to know exactly what kind of proposition they are looking for and what kind of use case as well, to really deep dive into the use case per audience and per persona, so we can personalize our offering even better.
Very cool. Now, I'd like to switch gears a little bit and talk a little bit sort of about your sort of daily work streams and things that you focus on. How would you describe, like, what were the types of projects, for example, that you would be involved with?
Oh, wow, many. We're a startup, so there's no such thing as, one role and that's it. So basically, I'm involved from strategy to execution in daily life. So it really depends on what requires our attention the most, which really switches. For example, last year, we were more in a growth phase where we had a working proposition with the large real estate owners and housing associations. And we were really growing that. So that's basically, setting up the funnel, understanding how to make that more efficient, get in the demo request, optimizing the sales process. So that's more of, day-to-day business we were working on then. But we got more into insurance since around half a year, I think, or half a year to a year. which means we had to go back to that, the core principles and the core work of what is our proposition, what is our positioning, what use cases are we serving, and that's a lot of the work I'm doing right now. But also, just some experiments and reaching out, like what channels work, what are they sensitive to, what not, what kind of content do they like. So it's a very exploratory phase for marketing at the moment in Spotr, which is really fun as well.
Very cool. Now, I have some rapid fire questions to get to know you and your journey as a marketer a little bit better. Are you ready for those?
Bring it on.
What's the last book that you read?
The last book I read, in marketing or in general?
Up to you.
Okay, so the last book, I almost finished it, is a Dutch book, actually. It's called For Ieder Wat Waars. It's about truth in our society, how it's changed, led to distrust, and he puts it in historical perspective, and also gives a new perspective on how we should look at the concept of truth, which is really interesting.
Okay. What's one single thing that your company is focused on the most at the moment?
Understanding the customer, say.
If you would have a magic wand and you could fix one thing for your role as a marketer, what would that be?
Fix my role.
Fix for your role, like anything, right? You have a magic wand, something you can fix for the marketing role. What would that be?
I think right now it would be great if someone could remind all of the people in my organization that marketing needs input to to give out great output. So I'd say, like, keep them reminding, make pictures, give me some stuff to make content with. That'd be great. Yeah.
Very cool. And for the very last question, if today would be your first day joining your career as a marketer, right? You're heading off as a marketer, what would be the one advice you would give yourself for that journey?
I'd say definitely find a good mentor. I think in general in our community, there's not a lot of mentoring going on. You would expect there'd be more, but I think that's really important. Find someone you admire, try to learn from them, so you don't have to invent the wheel from day one.
How did you find yours? Like, what was maybe a tip for somebody who's listening in?
Well, to be honest, the best mentors I found really were online, especially in the research community. I really love like their courses, but also like talking to the people there. So I think that has been extremely valuable. Also find like there's Growth Tribe in the Netherlands, also a community of growth practitioners. So really try to find that network and community.
Very cool. Nadine, I really appreciate you took the time with us today to be a guest on Pathmonk Presents. I want to give you the last word. If people would be forgetting all we discussed about Spotr, what's the one thing they should remember?
That inspecting buildings can be done a lot easier than it's been done at the moment. So don't settle for how it's being done right now.
Thanks a lot for being a guest on Pathmonk Presents.
Thanks so much for having me.